Let's move right on, Maddie, to culling a collection. All right, should I play some sad music?
Well, so it's come down to this. I've realized that um, I've become the busiest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
I would have been that way regardless of if work wasn't the busiest it's been ever, just because of my family situation. So my free time is so limited, and I have found that I am stressed out. It stresses me out to have all of these options for my free time. And I have come to the realization that I think it would be better for my mental health if I had less choices. Obviously, there's lots of studies about the stress factors of choice for humans, and that most people are happier having less options presented to them. And I have, a game room full of 300 plus board games, a Steam library with 200 plus video games I've never played. I have and that all stresses me out. It's like, it feels like I have a to-do list of things that I feel guilty about having purchased and not taken advantage of. So it's occurred to me that I think I would be happier with a smaller collection of board games, especially during this time in my life when I'm not playing as much. But when I do get a chance to play, I think I'd much rather play from a stack of 50 games that I love, as opposed to feel self-pressure to pull out a 7 that I've only played once.
So 50. So let's start with this, because first of all, I totally know what you're saying. I totally understand that. We have talked several times about the size of our collection to some degree is self-defeating, because it means that any game that is sitting on that shelf has a lower and lower percentage chance of making it to the table this year or next year or the year after, right? So what is the sweet spot in terms of how many games you own, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So 50 is a number you threw out. Is that just a random number?
Well, it's what I'm roughly thinking. Look, I own 351 games right now. That's stupid. I think a good goal is 100 to start with. I think getting it down to 100. Now, obviously, a lot of that's expansion. So let's say that's really only 250 games. Let's just say 100 of those 350 are expansions.
How many games do you think I own?
It's probably about the same. I don't know, probably within 50 of that, I'd say.
I think so. I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in.
I mean, just because I've seen your collection physically, and it seems size-wise pretty similar to mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea of getting it down to 100. Now, of these 351 games, the question is how many of them will I ever play again? And how many of them will I ever play again more than once? I think there's probably 150 of them that I can guarantee I'd never play again more than once. In which case, A, do I like that game? And B, would I be better served just moving that number to 0 and instead playing something else? And I think the latter is probably where I'm landing.
Yeah. All right. Well, so as we talked with Jake, right, we had certain criteria for building up his collection.
Right.
Probably a fairly similar metric could be used for breaking your collection down, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is this Marie Kondo idea of what sparks joy. I think it's about choosing, and it's not always going to be. It's not yes, there's this perfect manicured collection I could have that hits all player counts and all weights, but it might not be a collection that makes me as happy as the ones that I just choose because I love pulling them off the shelf and setting them up on the table and playing them with people.
Right.
And that might end up being a more awkward collection player count wise or length wise, but might be in the long term one that's more suiting towards happiness.
Totally. I mean, let's put it this way. I have more the average amount of joy my 6-player games have is lower than my 5 players, and that is lower than my 4 players. Well, 4 players is the highest level of joy, average joy of any game, because to some degree, the fact that a game plays 5 players gives it +1 point that it wouldn't otherwise deserve, right? And the 6-player game, because they're so rare and because that number comes up fairly frequently at our game nights, is +3 points or something along those lines. So within that context, totally
All
understand.
right, let's play a fun game.
Yeah.
Pick a letter in the alphabet, Tom, and I'm
Okay.
going to go over all the games I own in that letter, and let's see how many of them I actually think would make the cut.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. Let's start with a letter that isn't going to have a ton of choices there. W.
Okay, let's go right to W here. So for W, I have. Nope, I have to go to page 2 for that one. All right, so W has a couple here. We've got War of the Rings Second Edition. Okay,
Sure.
Very quickly off the bat, that's a stay. My child's name is Strider. I have a Hobbit pinball table. I love Lord of the Rings.
I was like,
This is the best Lord of the Rings game ever made.
let's see how he talks himself out of this one. Yeah, no, that's yeah.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Next up, Watergate. Interesting. Very enjoyable. Good. It's small. It plays 2. That probably stays.
Okay.
Then we've got
By the
Welcome
way,
to the Dungeon.
You're already over 100 games now, based on that. Based so far. Okay.
No, because I think those might be the only 2 that stay here.
Okay.
Because there's a couple more here.
Good.
So I think Welcome to the Dungeon does not need to stay. I don't think I'll ever play that again.
Got it.
I don't think the roll and write or flip and write Welcome to will ever get played again.
Okay.
Wingspan, I believe, stays. My wife really enjoys it, and I think it's one that would stay. But there's an interesting one there because there are so many games. That would come down to looking at the other games that scratch that same niche of
Yes.
tableau building
So
games.
this is a
Then
game. So it's a game that doesn't spark as much joy as the other 2,
Right,
But
exactly.
you're
So,
giving it extra
yeah.
points because couples game, because I can play it with my wife, I can play it with friends, right?
Yeah, that's it. And then we've got Wizard's Quest from 1979, which is, I don't really call part of my collection, but it was the first game my father ever taught me, so I probably keep that. So yeah, okay, we kept about 50% there, so that's not so great for W.
All right. B.
Try one more letter.
B.
P?
B, as in Belfort.
Oh, okay, great. All right, perfect. All right, so we got a lot here. Babylonia. I think this becomes the one Reiner Knizia that I keep. I really like that. Back to the Future, Back in Time, gone. Barrage stayed, one of my favorite games. Battle of 5 Armies, gone. I don't need that and War of the Ring.
There you go.
Battlestar Galactica. Here's the thing. I'm never going to play it again. I know I'm not going to play it. Maybe one time in my life as a nostalgia trip.
I will take it.
I also know it's worth a ton of money on the aftermarket, so I think that goes. Belfort. We joke about it a lot. I'm never going to play it again. Beyond.
Wait. Say that one more time. I have to hear that again.
I'm never going to play it again. I do like it though. It does spark joy. Beyond the Sun. I'm never going to play it again. Maybe one time. It's okay. It's fine. It's a B. The B's don't cut it. BIOS Genesis. That's going to go. BIOS Megafauna. That's going to go. BIOS Origins. That's going to go. Black Angel. Gone. Blackout Hong Kong. Gone. Bonanza. You survive. Bonfire.
Thank God. I was about to say, I thought you were going to throw away a Bonanza, and I was going to be like,
Bonfire. I would like to play you one more time before I sell you, but I don't think that you're going to last beyond that. Brass, Birmingham, and Lancashire, you're safe. Absolutely. Broom Service, gone. Brussels 1893, really enjoy you. Maybe to play you 2 more times in my life, you're gone. Bus. Never played you. I don't know what to do with you, Bus. You came out when I had my second child, and I haven't played you yet.
I mean, can you get rid of a splotter?
Yeah, probably not. I probably just keep the splotters because they're great. And that's all my Bs. That was pretty good. I got rid of, I think I kept maybe 20%.
30%, I think, by my quick numbers.
Okay.
You want to know something? Let me tell you the honest truth, 100% honest truth. If you truly go to keeping Bus, I would have done the exact same thing. Every single choice. There was not a single choice I would have gone a different way with. So congratulations, you are dead on. Like if I was culling down my collection to around 100-ish games, right? And we don't have to pick a particular number yet. I would have every choice you made is exactly the same choice I would have made. So you're on good ground. That's excellent.
We'll see what happens. I'll probably just have a nervous breakdown and start crying and can't get rid of any of them. But I do think I think it would make me happier, strangely, to have less.
Yeah. Okay. So can I opine?
Yes, please.
Okay. So there's this thing when my father passed away. There's this thing where they said there was a person that was sort of talking to us. There were some estate things to take care of. My mom's still alive, and so no big deal or anything like that. But there was a person that said, you should really watch out for the next year, for 1 calendar year. Do your best to not make any huge decisions. They said that you are in a grief and mourning period, and listen, it hits everybody differently. For some people, their lives seem to go on completely normally, and nothing happens. Even for those people, there's turbulence under the waves, right? There's things going on underneath, and psychologists have found that people the big decisions of their lives tend to have a much higher degree of regret within a year of a great loss or a great trauma in your life, right?
Wow.
So they say be careful about that. The entire world has gone through something like that right now. So we are in 2021. We are coming out of the most extraordinary year and a half of anybody's life ever, right? Truly nothing that 3 generations, 4 generations, 5 generations have experienced in the modern era. We are in a state like that. We're in a state where we should not make too many large decisions. So my only thing to you is I think it's a good idea. Everything you're saying sounds dead on right. I think Culling the Collection is a good idea. What I would do, though, is try and take it from being a major monumental decision and maybe make it a smaller one. Like instead of cutting your games down by, what are you going to do? Cut it down by half? I think half is not. Yeah. I think half is not extreme.
Or also just get rid of the obvious. There's a lot of obvious cuts.
Yes.
Like Beyond the Sun to me is a perfect example of like a game I enjoyed learning. I played it a couple times, and I think part of my learning after 10 years of the hobby is I'm okay buying a game, playing it a few times, and selling it at a loss, and having paid $20 or $30 for the experience like I would for a movie.
100%. You and Jennifer,
totally fine.
You and Jennifer do that more than I do. You buy and go through games faster than I do. I think that's a totally valid thing to do. I think that's great. So, I think that's a great idea. Now, are you going to do the same thing with your Steam?
Well, you can't sell those back. So, but yeah, it's part of it is just not buying video games ever again because I just play. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I play 20 minutes of a video game and then I get bored. I think I have to start realizing that that's just what's called growing up for me.
Now, I think you and I mean, you more than I, but you and I both have hit this very, very busy period professionally as well. And it's kind of hard. What are your outlets right now? Like you go home and you're dealing with 2 kids under the age of 3. That is stressful. That is work. There is love and there is joy and there's amazement in that, but it is also a hard time. And you are working your butt off. How are you getting peace? How are you getting joy? How are you getting relaxation and time off? What is your methodology for doing that at this point?
Yeah, well, mainly I'm watching movies. So it's funny because like my free time is so limited that I use it for work in a weird way, but I try to find the work that I enjoy. Yeah. So I have to watch a ton of movies as research constantly. I probably, no exaggeration, watch about 20 features a week. So I usually watch at least one during the work day, during a lunch break. And these is all for, I mean, I have my computer out. I'm taking notes. Like, this is work. Yeah. I don't have popcorn and a beer.
So you haven't answered my question. So, right.
Yeah. And so at night, that's sort of what I do. But I love it so much because I'm watching usually movies that I love or movies that are amazing that I haven't seen, and so I do find that energy fulfilling. And I try to put the computer down when I can and just enjoy it. But yeah, it doesn't last very long. I usually end up writing.
I hear you.
But yeah, that's about it. And also part of it is Rachel is so great. And loves watching movies she hasn't seen before with me. And so that makes it really fun for me as well, as experiencing every night we watch literally 7 nights a week, we watch a movie every single night together. And we've been doing that for months now. And so, yeah, that's been really fun. And just sort of like, she's such a huge cinephile like I am. And so it's just really fun doing that with her. So that makes it relaxing.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
But yeah, other than that, like, I'll set up a game on my table during the workday, and like a chess player, walk over, take a move, work for a couple hours, take a move. It takes me a couple days to get through a game sometimes, but I do that every once in a while. And like this week, I learned Rubik's Cube. I like to learn things. Right. I relax by, I don't know, doing something new, which is why I like to learn new games and read rule books too, because I find that interesting.
100%. Yeah. Listen. I think that I've started a thing this year for my own mental sanity. I get up at dawn and I walk on the beach for about 2 to 5 miles.
You're writing novels. You're writing multiple novels as your relaxation.
And it's I come into work and I don't feel like I've been writing for hours. I feel like I've been relaxing. I feel like my feet are in the water and in the sand.
It's a good sign that we've both chosen our correct profession when we have time off and we choose to do something very adjacent to our jobs.
Exactly. And it's something a lot of people, like even my wife sometimes is like, really? And I'm like, yeah. When I retire, I'm still going to be writing. I'll write something else. I don't know what it is, but that's the way that's going to be. That's the way my brain finds
That's how you
joy.
participate in life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I guess, my only question for you is that are you getting enough of that downtime? And I know, listen, there are going to be points in our lives and where you are professionally right now, it may be a point where it has to go by the wayside for a little bit. But I do want to say that if you would find it useful, we can figure out a way to carve out. And you and I have completely opposite schedules. So we're
ships in the night. Yeah,
we're the hardest two people to get together, because when you can carve out a moment, it's exactly when I tend to not be able to carve out a moment.
Yeah. Well, I think hopefully in a couple months I could potentially find myself doing a game night. Maybe every other week in my office. I think that could possibly be doable.
Great. Yeah. Listen, it's if I've picked up anything over the year, that there were studies that I was looking at like several years back that were saying that male loneliness in America is an epidemic. It is huge. Like, women have a much greater tendency to carve out time to get together, sit down, talk, and all that sort of stuff. And men.
Not my wife, but maybe people without two young children.
No. Right. I'm just in the aggregate. Right. Everybody is different, and anytime you quote a gendered study, there's always there's a question in the back of my mind, like, really, is that so? But there are still gender differences, and this tends to be one of them. And there was a psychologist who was saying that it's strange for men. All they need is twice a week. If twice a week they are getting together with men, women, whoever it is, if they're getting together with people with a non-agendaed, right? They're not. It's not a work meeting. It's nothing. They're just drinking beer, talking, playing games, watching football, whatever it is. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the activity is, but the cumulative impact of loneliness is significantly reduced from just that amount of exposure. And I was thinking about it when I read that study, and I was like, on Tuesdays I game at Matt's with all my friends, and on Friday we game in my office with my friends, and that is everything I need. And for you to have to go to none of that, and we've all gone to none of that, but it is something that I just worry about a little bit. And
that's a good point. It's interesting how much I've maybe just made room for that because that's the only option there is, and I've made the best of it, or how much of that is actually a choice at this point. But yeah, it'll be worth exploring for sure.
Excellent. Um, are you
You
going?
know how I like to relax, Tom?
Yeah, how?
By talking with my good friend Tom Donnelly on a podcast.
Yeah, you're so sweet. You're the best, Maddie. You're the best of us. You really are. We miss you. We miss you dearly. All right, we miss you dearly, and want to find time to get back together with you again. Would you say that, getting back to our topic, would you say that every game that you've rated a 9 or 10 is a stay for you?
I'd have to re-look at my 9s or 10s. Some of them might have fallen out of favor, but yeah, probably. I'd say probably most 9s. I mean, I doubt there's a 10 that would drop to a 9. I think there's probably a reason it got a 10, but some of those 9s could have dropped to 8s or 7s.
So those alone are going to give you a base of the games that you're keeping for sure.
Yeah.
And then most other things.
Let me see. Hold on. Wait. I'm just going to run down my 9s. Here we go. I'm going to tell you what stayed. The Estates, that stays. Pax Pamir, that stays. Le Havre stays. Zolkin. Oh, interesting. I don't know. Zolkin's on the chopping block.
Really?
Kanban stays. Too Many Bones
the Estates
stays.
would be, for me, would be more on the chopping block than Zolkin for sure.
Okay. Terraforming Mars stays. Arkham Horror, the card game, gone. Gloomhaven, gone. Through the Ages stays. Brass stays. Gallerist stays. Kingdom Death Monster stays. Pax Porphyriana, I don't know. Probably gone. Pax Ren,
it's my favorite.
Gone.
It's my favorite of the PAX games. The first one is my favorite.
Brass Birmingham stays. Barrage stays. Dune stays. Castles Burgundy stays. Nemo Wars 2nd Edition stays. Okay, so yeah, most of those 9s stay.
Okay, yeah, there were a couple that went. I get it.
Yeah, there's a few.
I get it. All right, good. So that's how many games do you have that are rated 10 or 9?
Hold on, going back. It looks like there's probably about 30.
Okay. So that's 30 of somewhere between 50 and 100 that you're going to be keeping. And the other ones that you're going to be keeping, first of all, are your ratings are not up to date, right? So you probably have a bunch of things that are not rated.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So there's going to be that. And then a lot of the other ones that are going to keep are games that are 8s or somewhere around there, but it's Wingspan, and I'm going to keep it for this reason, right? It plays, it plays 2, and I'm keeping it for this reason, or so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
I'll keep you posted.
Please do. Please do.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.